This episode is brought to you by Astruzi Golf. All right, Coach, this data point from Astruzi applies to all of you. Golf facilities who offer lessons see a $2 increase in incremental spend per dollar of instruction. Keep listening to learn what I mean and how it applies to your coaching. I promise, it's pretty staggering.
It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
You know how to cut to the core of me, Baxter. You're so wise. But like a miniature Buddha covered in hair.
I want to become a guru so girls will like me. Then I will like myself.
Now, before we do this, let's go over the ground rules. Rule number 1. No touching of the hair or face.
Of course.
And that's it! Now let's do this!
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Golf Guru Show. I'm your host, Jason Sutton, and I'm the Guru. I'm also the Director of Instruction at the beautiful Colleton River Club in Bluffton, South Carolina, where it is my mission to break down high performers in the teaching and coaching business and all fields of study. Unpack and tease out what makes them great and successful, from daily habits, their continuous growth journey, to how they help and train their students. Make sure that you download this episode and all previous episodes of the Golf Guru Show and hit that purple subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes that will be coming your way. All I ask is that you share this podcast on social or with your friends or with other coaches and players that might benefit from the information. My guest on this episode is Jarrell Fields. You can follow Jarrell on Instagram and TikTok at Sold by Rail for his real estate page, and his golf page is Charlotte Golfer. That's Charlotte Golfer for his golf page. As Jarrell is a former golf professional turned real estate broker that is still a great player. He's like a +2 handicap, which is super impressive with his incredibly busy schedule now. He is now the owner of his company called the Noir Group that includes 15 agents, and he is one of the top brokers in the Charlotte area. I love this conversation so much because I've met Jarrell when he had just graduated from college, and I was working at the Dana Rader Golf School, and he wanted to get into the golf business. So I took an interest in Jay as I saw something in him at the time and knew that he was going to go on to do great things, whether it was in golf or business. So I've followed his career, and it's so cool to see all his success that he has worked so hard for. There are so many parallels between selling real estate and what Jarrell does with his company and golf instruction and how we run our businesses that we talk about and cover, like the importance of building a great team around you to the importance of putting the customer first and much, much more. So I hope you enjoy this awesome, wide-ranging conversation with my good friend, Jarrell Fields. Enjoy. All right, Jarrell Fields, welcome to the show.
My God, Jason Sutton, man. How you been?
I'm good, man. It's been a minute.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time, man. You left me. You left me up here.
I know. We'll get into that. But yeah, I've been following your career and from afar in social media, and I'm just so proud of, what I'm seeing, and you look like you're doing fantastic.
Man,
but,
I appreciate it.
we're not without our trials and tribulations, which I think your story is super fascinating. I love getting guests on here that aren't in the golf business now, right? So entrepreneurs, they honestly fascinate me more and are more interesting to me because I get to talk to golf pros all the time. So I'm super excited to top it up with you, man. So thanks for taking the time.
Anytime, man. I've been itching to get back in touch with you a good bit anyway. So this is a great way to kind of do it.
Absolutely. So take the listeners back to the beginning. Nobody knows what you're doing yet until I do the intro, obviously.
Yeah.
Your story involves golf, but you're not in golf now. But go back to the beginning and then tell everybody like how we met and then where you are today.
Yeah. So, man, I started playing golf at 7. My dad was just looking for something for us to do together. I was a huge basketball guy, and just my size wasn't there. I wasn't the biggest guy on the court. So my dad was like, let's find something we can do together. And we picked up golf together. I mean, Tiger won in 97.
Yeah, Masters
and
97.
we picked up golf. Yeah. That was Augusta. So we picked up golf in August. of that same year. That was both of us starting together. We went by an old spot out here in Pineville. One of the guys in the shop overheard us talking about we wanted to start playing golf. He was like, I give golf lessons. I don't know if he did or didn't, but he was like, I give golf lessons. So yeah, we paid $100 for 5 lessons apiece, and he gave us some golf lessons. And I mean, I had the natural talent as far as like being able to hand-eye coordination, things like that, but it just wasn't fun. I enjoyed doing it with my dad, but it just wasn't fun. Probably he would force me to play in tournaments, force me to play with him. And it was okay until right about high school. I noticed I was like the second tallest guy on the basketball team. And I knew my recruiting was going to be trash if I stuck with it, let alone I came out the same year as Steph Curry, Jamie Skeen, Ishmael Smith. So, it was like, all right, Jarrell, somebody else is going to take your spot if you want it or if you're going out for it. So kind of took golf serious in high school. Didn't even know you could play golf in college. Had no idea. My dad did. So my senior year of high school, I turned down a basketball scholarship to Virginia State, Maryland Eastern Shore, and Delaware State, and was not going to college. And that summer, we played in an alumni golf tournament, and my dad paired me with the golf coach at Winston-Salem State University. Teed off with him. By the 18th hole, I was on the phone with financial aid. So that's how I got my golf scholarship. Played there for 4 years. I was the first Division I recruit for golf that they had, because that year I started was the first year they transitioned into the MEAC Division I. So I played all 4 years of Division I there. Got out of college and tried to give it a go my first year. And 3 months into my professional career, I bent down to mark a golf ball and couldn't stand up for 6 hours. So immediately went from hitting my 8-iron 180 yards to 135 the next day. And then my professional career was essentially over because I just couldn't swing the same. I didn't have the power. So I went and got into the golf business, or got into the golf business, started my level 1 apprenticeship at Dana Rader Golf School in Charlotte, North Carolina, where my guy Jason Sutton was one of the top instructors there. And me and Jason just kind of connected from the beginning. I told him my story. I was always trying to sneak and get a free lesson from Jason because he was the golf guru. And I would try to sneak and just, before he left, hey, Jason, look at my wedge game real quick. Give me something. Yeah. So that's how me and you met. And then halfway through that, what was that? That was 2011.
Mm-hmm. That's about when I went to Carmel.
Yep. Right after you went to Carmel, I got the assistant's job at TPC Piper Glen.
That's right.
And I was there from Father's Day of 2011 to September of 2015.
Yeah, you did come over and take a couple lessons from me to at least keep in touch.
Who, me?
Yeah. Did you not?
I ain't got it no more. I don't even look at golf swings no more.
No. I'm saying you came over and took a couple lessons from me. At
Carmel. For sure.
When you were still trying to play as a club professional.
Yeah,
like the rest of us hacks.
Man, you and Andrew Kiger. Y'all were my guys. So,
that's right.
But any chance I got to hear the great golf guru kind of give me some pointers, man, I jumped on that one. But yeah, 2015 was when I left Piper Glen and jumped right into real estate. So I've been doing real estate ever since. It'll be 10 years in August or September this year.
It's crazy, dude.
It's wild.
I've been following you on social, man. It's incredible. All right. So, you're skipping way ahead, right? So I got a reel you. Yeah, that's okay. We got to reel you in. We got all the time in the world. You good with time tonight?
Oh yeah, I'm good with time.
There you go. So there's no time limit on learning and growth. So tell me the story about when you got into real estate and how that happened.
So I was, again, golf pro at TPC. And one of the members, it was 2014. One of the members came up to me, out of nowhere. I'm in the golf shop and I'm just doing my thing. She came up to me. She said, "What are you still doing here?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" She was like, "Why are you still here?" And I was like, "It pays the bills." I was like, "My wife pregnant? What you mean? I got to make money." She was like, "No, Jarrell, why are you in the golf business? You could be doing so much more." She was like, "Your personality is perfect. You know how to connect with people. Everything about you screams entrepreneur." And I said, "No, it doesn't."
You probably didn't know what that even meant at that time, right?
I was like,
what are you talking about?
Not one bit. And I asked her, I said, "Well, what do you have in mind?" And she said, "You should get into real estate." And I was like, "Real estate means I don't get a steady paycheck. So no." I was like, "I can't do that." And she was like, "Trust me." She was like, "I promise you, you get into real estate, your personality, your work ethic." She was like, "You work 70 hours here. I promise you, if you work 70 hours in real estate, you'll enjoy those benefits more." So I walked away, didn't believe her. The very next day, Jason, Club Corp comes into Piper Glen, calls us into the ballroom, sits us down, tells us that they're taking over. There'll probably be some changes in the systems and things like that. And they fired the GM immediately. So they fired the GM immediately. And I was like, oh, this is crazy. So I went right back to her and I said, so you were talking about real estate, right? You said something about real estate.
Was this the first time you had a God wink?
Man, it's so funny. Do you call them that?
No, I've done my research, bro. Come
oh
on.
my gosh, yes. Okay, so you done your research.
Of course.
I forgot. My bad. But yes, that is not the first time I had a God wink.
But that's one of those times where God steps in and says, okay, let's push this guy in a direction, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So I felt it. That was one of those things where I was like, that wasn't by chance. The very next day, it wasn't by chance. So she actually paid for me to take my class. It was like $420 something. But I remember her paying for it.
To be exact.
$424, yeah. So she ended up paying for my classes, bro. And I failed the first time. I enjoyed it. I fell in love. By the second class, I fell in love. I love the commission talk. I love just everything about it. The ability to make my own schedule, and fell in love, but failed the class. I was never a good student. But I knew after that second class, whether I passed or failed, this is what I was doing. So I ended up reaching out to my aunt and uncle, because at the time I was making $25,000 a year at Piper Glen. I already had one child. I had another one on the way. I was like, this is not going to work. So ended up getting my uncle to pay for my class to re-enter, and ended up passing the class. And once you pass the class, you got to go take the state exam. Passed the state exam. And on August 31st of 2015, I passed the state exam. And September 23rd of 2015, I got laid off at Piper Glen. So that was my other God wink.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I remember dates like crazy, man. So yeah.
Yeah.
That was literally the day I was like, all right, well, this real estate stuff got to work, because I was only going to do this part-time.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's so many parallels to what I do and what you do in real estate. Like the more that I research it and sort of thinking about it, it's all about building relationships. It's like there's a lot of similarities that I think we can really dig into tonight.
Yeah. I tell my agents all the time, people only work with those they know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing on your side.
Yeah.
I'm not going to you if I don't like what you're talking about and trust that you're going to get me in the right direction.
Yeah, 100%. I talk about, this on the podcast all the time. It's the EQ versus the IQ, right? So, the IQ being the information, which I can teach somebody to like understand the techniques part of the golf swing or teaching per se, but it's very difficult to teach people the EQ, which is the bedside manner, the empathy, the self-awareness, the intangibles, just doing the right thing and taking care of your customer, right? So I think there's where a lot of our parallels are for sure.
Yep, 100%. And you do a good job of it. The one thing I always liked about you and how you taught was how you never changed your pace. You always gave information in a way where it wasn't, I won't say elementary, but it was in a way where I could receive it, try it, and be okay with messing up.
There you go.
And I always felt that comfort. Huge. So even when I was cleaning the range or putting the sand down, watching you give a lesson, I'm listening to you give lessons. And in comparison to the other instructors, not saying they weren't as good, but listening to how you taught, I always knew that if I could get a chance to just have Jason look at my swing, I'd be all right. I could try some stuff.
That's a huge compliment. I mean, because that's the intangible part of not getting ahead of the students' learning, the pacing, the like backtracking when you do get ahead of the students' learning, and being aware of that, the pivot of, okay, this is too much. Let's draw it back. So I really appreciate that. That means a lot. And the fact that it's been so long, it's like, I don't know how much of an effect I've had on your career at all, but that's pretty cool.
You have no idea. You have no idea. You have no idea.
So a couple of stories that have kind of came up in my research, and I talk a lot about how we learned so much from our failures and how they sort of set us up for later success. Tell the Burger King story for me.
Yeah, I call it $2.73. I gave it a title. So when I write a book, whatever chapter it is, it's going to be titled $2.73. I had been working at, I got into real estate again 2015, September 2015, forcefully. From September 23rd, 2015, Jason, I kid you not, to December 31st, or I would say January 13th of 2016, I was gambling on a golf course. That was it. It was cold outside, but I had no income. I was trying to make real estate work. Didn't know how to do anything. That's the only money I had was the money I made on the golf course. So January of 2016, I got a job at MetLife. I was a claims adjuster. And it was just something to do. I needed some steady income. and it was a job. But I had never worked a job before. I was always doing something in the golf business, or, it was Golf Galaxy, it was Piper Glen, cleaning carts, whatever it was. So it was my first grown up job. And I realized early on it was something I could not and would not do for the rest of my life. Fast forward a year later, man, and I was just going through a lot mentally. I was shutting down around the people around me. My mom knows everything. My mom would always say, "Are you okay?" And I go, "Yeah, yeah, I'm cool." She's like, "Well, you just sound down." I'm like, life, things are going, And June of 2017, I was doing well in real estate by then. I had a little bit of business, but it was all, I was always on the phone at MetLife. But by June of 2017, I had a steady book of business, but MetLife was just getting in the way. And one night, I'm literally on the edge of just this is crazy, man. I don't want to do this no more. So I go out to Burger King to get some food for the family. My wife was like, "Hey, just go pick the kids up something from Burger King. I'll grab a burger and you can get whatever." So I leave, go to Burger King, and I order everybody some food. And I go to swipe my card, or the lady takes my card, and she was like, "Hey, it's declined." I was like, "Well, all I got was, whatever." So luckily I had some money in my Venmo account from gambling on the golf course, but apparently I only had $2.73 in my bank account. And I'm working a full-time job, but I'm putting all my money into real estate. So every time I got a paycheck, I'm trying to put my money into marketing, whatever, let alone $2.73 in my bank account. Ended up being able to pay for the food at Burger King. And just, as soon as I left the drive-thru, I was defeated. So I went, parked my car, and just let out a big, scream and cried. I'm in the car, I'm bawling my eyes out. I just, at that moment, literally just stopped doing everything. I talked to God. I said, "God, listen, if you can get me out of this, I promise you won't regret it. I'll make it worth your while, God. Just get me out of this. I promise you, this is not what I need." I just felt this big, overwhelming, just hush over my body, everything. And I knew everything was going to be okay. I just didn't know how. That next morning, I called my dad. I'm on my way to drop the kids off at daycare. And I might have left this out on Instagram because I didn't want the guy that did my interview kind of cut it short. But I was on my way to drop my kids off at daycare and about to go back to MetLife. And I dropped my kids off and I'm driving down what you may know, Elm Lane. I'm driving down Elm Lane and I look over to my left at Piper Glen because that's where I used to work and life was easy. And I look back at the forward and I'm like, if I just drive this car into a cinder block, something, into another car, into these trees, whatever it may be, I don't have to go to work again. It wasn't even like if I die. It was if I just harm myself, I don't got to go to work. And that same feeling of, just God, whatever it was, man, just came over me. I called my dad. I said, "Dad, I'm having bad thoughts." I said, "It's scary." Like I said, I literally just thought about crashing the car just so I don't have to go to work. And my dad told me to quit. He said, "Quit, man. It's not worth it. Nothing that you're doing right now for a paycheck is worth you hurting yourself, not being here for your kids, not being here for me. Whatever it may be, we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out." And my dad has always been one to minimize everything. Doesn't matter how bad it got. It was always, we're going to be good. So I put my 2 weeks notice in that day and I knew I had a couple closings coming up and I knew if I just managed that money a little differently, I can make it last. And I had a closing on, I think it was June 14th, June 13th. And I was going to have about $3,500. I said, that $3,500 is it. I said, I talked to God last night. Yeah. He told me it was going to be cool. I'm going to build whatever I'm building off this $3,500. And here I am.
Yeah. We all have those moments. It's similar to when I sort of transitioned before you met me as a head pro to teaching full time. And I was completely miserable, failing miserably and got fired. Honestly. Yeah. So, I tell that story all the time when I'm a guest on a podcast. It's like, but you got two decisions to make. You can wallow in your sorrows and do something else, or you can, try to get up and fight. And you're a fighter, man. It's like, yeah. Right? But then, you have to find your passion as you're clearly doing now. Like me, like when I first started at Dana's, it's like the whole world opened up. I'm like, wow, this is joy. This is like what I've been missing because I'm excited to go to work every day. So you had a couple of jobs, obviously, after that in the real estate business that you probably learned some things and figured out like what you didn't want to be, right? It's like, you go and you sort of learn from other bosses or leaders. So talk about that and then how you started your company now. And I've got a lot of questions about that.
No, that's cool. So again, everything starts from 2017. When I got my license in 2015, again, I was just lost. 2017 was probably when I realized real estate was it, definitely it. But immediately after I quit, I joined that same agent who told me to get in the business, that member. I joined her firm. So she was the broker in charge at Coldwell Banker, in the Arboretum out this way. So I joined her firm and I told her, I said, I just need your help. You the one that told me to get into real estate. I don't know why I didn't come here first.
Yeah.
So
you gotta have
now
a
that
mentor.
I'm here, help me out. Yeah. Now that I'm here, help me out. Tell me what you saw those years ago and let's build on it. And she was by far the best person to learn from. She taught me, and I will always give her this credit. Her name is Colleen Nornis. She was the broker in charge at Coldwell Banker. And when I got there, I was so lost. I had been in the business for 2 years. I was closing deals, but I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to lead gen, anything. But the one thing I give her credit for is she taught me how to be a really good, caring agent. I already knew how to be a caring person, but she taught me how to be a caring agent, how to put your client first, things like that. What little special touches are needed for somebody to feel like they can trust you. And I learned that early. Yeah, I learned that
What
early.
are some examples that you can remember of some of the learning moments from her?
Yeah. So one thing she did was she taught me how to be myself. She taught me how to, when I go into a room, don't change my tone. Don't change my speech pattern or anything like that. Don't try to sound more proper. She was like, relate to the people that you're going to meet with. Or what people don't do in the real estate industry, a lot of agents don't, is they don't take the time to learn the people they're about to sit in front of. So what you just told me, where you checked my stories out, you did your research, that also goes into real estate. If I'm going to list your property and I come in there and you got dogs and I didn't know you like dogs and I can't relate to the dog and you need to find somewhere else to live that's going to be dog friendly and I don't have those answers immediately, you're going to find somebody who you can relate to. Another thing she did too was she taught me that when you do let's say if I go to list a house, right? A lot of times you walk into, if you've ever went to buy a house, you walk into a house and there's nothing for people to grab, nothing for people to remember. Oh, I saw this beautiful house that had, nice fixtures, but I can't remember which house it was. I think it was the third house we saw. So one thing she taught me was give them something to remember the house by, something they can leave with, something that has your face on it, because people want to remember or they want to take images and place them with the house. You know how you go with smells? Smells help you remember certain things. So, just little knickknacks like that to where I was like, okay, I have to do things that are looked at as over and beyond, whereas they shouldn't be. I made booklets for people. So that way, when they came to my listings, all my listings had listing booklets. It had pictures of the house in the booklet. It had the property disclosures. It had things to do around the area. Like all of those things mattered because when they left with this booklet and they can look at it, go home and go, oh yeah, well, I didn't know Carowinds was 0.2 miles away. I didn't know a daycare was right around the corner. So those are little small things that she taught me. It just took me a long way.
Yeah, presentation is big, right? It's the same way, if I'm setting up a clinic or just the way I conduct my teaching bay every day, it's like having things clean and proper. It's the first impression, especially for real estate. It's got to be huge.
It is.
So were there any other mentors that touched your life and helped you before you actually, ran out on your own?
I got one, man, who just recently became a good friend of mine, Ryan Serhant. So the guy that's on Owning Manhattan, $1 million list in New York.
Oh, that's one of my questions later on in the show that we're going to talk about. That's sick.
That guy. When I tell you, $1 million listing, New York, Ryan Serhant changed the way I conduct business.
Okay.
And This was all digitally. I learned all this from watching TV, watching his vlogs on YouTube. And I just followed him. I said, bro, this guy right here is truly being himself. He's dressing up for open houses. He lied to get on the show. Like, this is me. I used to lie to get on golf courses. Like, this is me. So I immediately, he was the guy I just followed, and everything he spoke about, he spoke with confidence. He was guiding me through real estate. He didn't know it, but he was guiding me through real estate, man. And I got a chance to meet him in 2022 when he decided to open up his brokerage down here. Got a chance to meet him and interview him.
Oh, he's in Charlotte?
He has a North Carolina firm. So his firm is in New York, but he has different branches in different states. but he opened up a North Carolina branch, and I got a chance to meet him at his launch party. The owner of the branch knew I was a big fan and gave me an opportunity to thank him in person. So I thanked him on camera. I interviewed him similar to this, like I said, just more so just asked him a couple questions, and he fell in love with the fact that I was willing to interview him. I was the only one that interviewed him. Everybody wanted a picture. I was like, no, I want a moment.
Absolutely.
I want a moment, bro.
Guy.
Yeah. So we've been talking ever since. He's trying to get me to come over there. I can't do it because he's not paying me to come over there. There's a number. I'm like, dude, if you pay me this, I'll come. But I can't do it, bro. I got my own.
That is crazy, dude. Because like one of my questions, and this is just going to be a fun question. It's kind of like when, if I'd give a lesson to a doctor or like, a lawyer, and I ask him like, how realistic are these shows on TV? Right? It's like, is ER really that authentic? So me and my wife, we watched Selling Sunset, we watched $1 Million Listing and all these shows. And we were actually talking about it before the pod. And I'm like, remind me of all these shows because I'm going to ask Jarrell what he thinks about it. And she's like, ask him. And she's like, ask him about your guy. Like, I was like, that is so funny. So you think, give me your opinion on some of the other shit, like Selling Sunset, because I've seen a lot of people that say that shit's fake. Like, what's going on? Like, what do you think about that?
Majority of the selling shows are fake. Selling Sunset, there's like history of
Oppenheimer Group, the whole thing.
Well, the Oppenheimer Group is real.
I know it's real, but I'm just like, how realistic is like how they go about their business? No,
and that's the thing. Like I said, they are notoriously known within the real estate industry to hire actors and actresses to play on the show. So that's one of the fake ones. But a lot of these shows that real estate agents have issues with these shows because it highlights things like luxury. Not every deal is a luxury deal. Not every real estate agent drives a luxury car. Not every real estate agent is going to make $300,000 in commission on a sale because we don't all live in New York or California. So they shed light on a lot of the wrong things. They also don't actually, like, I watched the new one, Selling the City.
Yeah.
That one's on Netflix.
Yeah.
They didn't sell a house. Like, they showed houses to each other, but they didn't sell a house. I sold that one on whatever street. When did you sell it? Like, if the show is called Selling the City, show you selling the house. Don't just show the house to your teammate and things like that. So those are the kind of things that rub realtors the wrong way. But I will say, Owning Manhattan and $1 Million Listing LA, $1 Million Listing New York, these shows are real. Those shows are real. And I actually had the luxury being in the room while season 2 of Owning Manhattan was being recorded back in October. So they already started recording season 2 of Owning Manhattan. I was in the VIP lunch with Ryan. I was in the Owning Manhattan season 1 reunion episode. So I may make an appearance. I don't know.
Let's go. So what do you think about like the Joshes? What do you think about Josh Flagg, Josh Altman, and was it Tracy Tudor? The other ones are on the show?
So again, they're real.
Then they have beef. Then Ryan and them didn't like each other.
See, another thing too, like I think a lot of that is producer made.
Could
right?
be.
Like you got to have drama. Drama's going to sell.
Yeah.
But a lot of these guys, man, these guys do good business, but they just have to spice it up. And like I said, I think from the outside looking in, because I'm not on any of these shows, but outside looking in, as a real estate agent, you go, I wish they would just show people that we're not so superficial. Like, it gets under my skin, but it sells. If they ask me to do it, I'm gonna do it too.
You would be great.
I'll be there.
Absolutely.
Sign me up. I'll do it.
I know you would.
I'll give tours to my team members and not sell a house. I'll show you $3 million houses all day long and not sell them.
Exactly.
Put me on TV.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So what led you to starting Noir? Like, talk about your new company. And again, it's like, if I ask you, how would you describe yourself, right? I mean, I've heard you describe yourself as an entrepreneur, right? It's like, it's not, you're a small business person, like, but you're a creative mind. That's the way I look at you. It's regardless of what industry you're in, you could sell anything.
I agree.
Right? So
I agree.
Yeah. So it's like, talk us through that process. Like, that's a risk. And I want to talk about risk too. I don't know, I'm coming over the top with 2 questions here.
Cool.
Yeah, but I'm going to talk about risk as well. But talk about that process of deciding to go on your own.
Yeah, so to be completely transparent, Jason, I don't know if you know this, but I'm a young black man, I don't know.
I didn't realize that.
So, but I'm gonna tell you why that's important. You know, Jason, I grew up in the golf industry. I've always been around golf. I've always stood out to the point where I had to let my game speak for it. I still walk into rooms and people go, "Oh, you play golf?" And I go, "Yeah, I dabble."
Yeah, that's a shame.
You know, but that's just
it's reality,
you know,
right? Still, even to
it's
this
reality.
day. I know. I understand.
So if I can't avoid it, I have to make peace with it and make it work for me. So 2019, after 2 really good years in real estate, I walked into that same office, told my broker in charge, I said, "Hey, I appreciate everything you've taught me. I need a little bit more. And I know I can't get it here. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with what is being placed on me." And what I meant by that was I had only did $6 million in 2018 in production. That's a lot. I mean, that's about $100,000 GCI, gross commission income. So I did about $100,000.
What's the commission typically on a sale? Is there standard?
Probably seen average commission nowadays is probably about 2.7 something. Because you'll see some 2s, you'll see 2.5, you'll see 3s.
Yeah.
So it's about 2.7.
About like us teaching tour players. So it's just very similar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I, like I said, had a really good year for me. It was my first time surpassing $100,000 gross commission, but I was the second ranked agent in the entire office. There were 200 plus agents in this office, and I'm ranked number 2 at $6 million. I said, well, I didn't even eclipse what I wanted to do. So I knew if I wanted growth, I had to go somewhere where expectations were a lot higher. So in 2019, I decided to switch to a different brokerage that was leading the way in technology. They understood where we were. I walked into their office and they had a hashtag winning together on the wall. And I said, there you go. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. They understand where we are.
Catch up to Instagram.
Exactly. So I walked in there, met with the owner and signed up immediately. And that was in February of 2019. But what I realized after joining them was that there was this big void in the industry. There was nobody to really help me get to that next level, no matter where I went, because nobody had been in my shoes, or anybody that I wanted to reach out to, they weren't really in my shoes. So essentially, I would go up to people and go, "How did you get that $1 million listing? I want to list $1 million homes." Well, all you got to do is go to this event, be around these people, befriend them, and you'll get it. Or I would go, "How did you get that listing from marketing?" Well, all you got to do is put your face on it. Let people fall in love with your face. You're a good looking man. Let people fall in love with you. And I kept getting that all you got to do is. I said, it's not all you got to do, because I started doing things like that. I put my face on my marketing, and I had what was really the last straw and understanding that I needed to find somebody that looked like me was I listened to this lady who told me to put my face on some marketing. And my aunt's old house was for sale. It was a for sale by owner sign. And I sent my marketing to that owner, had my face on it. And in the marketing, it said, here's a heartfelt message from me. My aunt used to live in this home. I would love nothing more than to sell this home. She lost this home due to losing her job, and it foreclosed on her. And I would love to be the one to sell this home because it has so much history to me. They actually, whoever the owner was, called my office. Like, my face is on it, my phone number is on it, the office number is on it, everything, my contact, everything. They called the office phone. They looked at my name, my email, my motto, all this other stuff, and they saw the office number all the way at the bottom, and they called the office phone and said, "No, I don't want to work with him. Is there anybody else in that office?" So they let somebody else in my office list the property that I wrote this heartfelt letter.
You think that was the color of your skin?
I mean, it's hard not to think.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I'm just saying, like, that, you never think about that in
until it's right in front of you.
Industries. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. So I realized this void that existed in the real estate industry and in the Charlotte market. And it was that I don't have anybody that I can directly reach out to that's been in my shoes that can give me the step-by-step to how to get here. So I started thinking of ways to where I could be that person. I said, I've done $6 million in real estate. Maybe being the second ranked person at the last firm was a sign. Maybe I was the person people needed to look up to, and I could help them get there. And while helping them get there, they can help me get to a different level. So I decided to launch a team in 2019. And that team consisted of 4 other Black agents who were basically my accountability partners. They always would ask me questions. I would always help them. So I just said, "Hey guys, if I start a team, would you guys be willing to join? I'll give you leads because I got more business than I can handle. I'll give you leads. I just want to teach you guys how I got to where I am and how we can sharpen this tool and make something huge happen. So I started the team in 2019, and by the end of that was May of 2019. By the end of 2019, so 7 months later, we were the number 2 ranked team in the office. We had closed 22 deals as a team. There's only 5 of us,
So this is still working for somebody else. You just basically surrounded yourself with like-minded people to push each other. Yeah, I mean, it's just an accountability group, right? It's what I call the mastermind crew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's how it started. And then
so smart.
Yeah, so we finished 2019, number 2 ranked. 2020 was a crazy big year for us, even with COVID. We were the number 1 team in the office for about 4 or 5 months. 2021, we did the same thing. And by the end of 2021, I got my 1099, and it was the most numbers I'd ever seen and awesome. for my pay. And I was looking at it, but then I also saw what was deducted. And I said, well, what the hell did they take from me? Why was there so many fees associated with this? And I'm doing everything. I'm teaching my agents. I'm training them. I'm taking them to inspections and showings and things like that. And everything they're learning, I'm teaching. Why am I still paying a brokerage? So I reached out to everybody on the team and I said, hey guys, look, we have an opportunity here to do something different and be the vessel that is going to change the face of real estate in Charlotte. People are no longer going to look at Black agents as they don't know what they're doing, because Jarrell knows what he's doing. My credibility had skyrocketed. I had worked with NBA players, NFL players. I had worked with millionaires, not so millionaires. So I had the credibility, and my team automatically got the credibility behind me. So I said to them, hey, if I launch a brokerage and it's just us, would y'all come? And they all said, hell yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
100% buy-in.
100%.
Did you catch any adversity from the rest of the group that you were in before when you started having your little team obviously it was a plan and waiting, right? But did everybody was like, oh, what's going on over here? Like, what's happening? Like, you're gonna, right? It's like every time, like, successful people are going to catch grief, right? I mean, they're going to catch adversity. And especially when we bring race into it, and then you're going to get some shit.
Yeah, I mean, but again, the owner of the company that I worked for, I unintentionally brought in 32 other African-American agents. These were agents that either followed me on Instagram and just wanted to be a part of the firm I was at, just so they can be near me, learn from me. I was that person that people were looking up to. So I brought in 32 African-American agents. That's Jason, awesome. I couldn't name 32 African-American agents when I got my license.
I was gonna say.
Okay?
Yeah. That's
so
awesome.
It was not normal. And I recognized that. And I understood, again, where my credibility lied. So if I were to launch this brokerage, it was going to be one of the biggest things to happen in the city for real estate. It just was. And it was proven on May 12th, 2022. I had a launch party. It was invite only, 150 people max list. And I had 45 local agents out of the 150 show up. They weren't trying to be a part of the brokerage. They just wanted to support. Black, white, Hispanic, all of them came. Family and friends were in there. My vendors showed up. So all the home inspectors I had ever worked with, my first broker in charge, my last broker, they all showed up to just support us, man. And it was such a good night. But that night I realized, I said, y'all, I want y'all to understand this. We are now the bar. We are the bar. People will compare any Black agent who is not with us. They will compare us, or they will compare them to us. They will compare us to the next white agent. Doesn't matter. But they know that we are coming, or we are here. And man, I'll tell you, man, it'll be 3 years in May. And this has been probably the most welcoming 3 years. I mean, the news channel, we were on the news. It was crazy, Jay. Man, it was crazy, bro. I'm like,
I know.
And, you look back and you go, all of my friends that left Charlotte to go start something. I'm like, we spent all these years building this network here and y'all going to leave? Nah, man. I kept my network, man. And it has been a blessing to just watch it and to see what's happening, and the calls I get from people to go, hey, man, can you give me some advice? I'm thinking about doing this. I'm like, how did you get my number?
Yeah.
It's crazy, Jay.
So you may be wondering, what does incremental spending even mean? Great question. Incremental spending means additional spending, or in this case, revenue received by the course. which is more than the baseline. So let's break this down and apply it to your coaching business. If a golf facility offers lessons, they will see an incremental increase of $2 per dollar spent supporting or investing in golf instruction at the course, which means if a course invests $50,000 to support or grow their instruction services, the course will capture $100,000 in additional revenue directly from your initial $50,000 investment in golf instruction. Sure, it seems to me like investing in golf coaches is one of the safest business decisions they can make. So coaches, I ask, how can you use this newfound perspective to build more revenue or more value or more leverage into your business? To close out, I think you know by now, I'm a big fan of Estruzi and what they're doing to protect and increase the value we offer to our players and courses. A bunch of you already created an account, and I appreciate that. The download link is in the show notes, or head to Estruzi.com where you can create an account. And don't forget to add that asterisk to your last name so they know the guru sent you. You're all over the gram, man. You're in the stratosphere now, but you're going to be a mentor, and you're already a mentor and you're already a leader. So going back to like when you first made the decision, like was there a certain moment that just like pushed you over the edge, or was there like a clarity moment? And also the backup question there is like, it's super risky, right? I mean, it's kind of like, again, it's like you're going from, I know what I'm going to make this year, and then this might fail. I might fall on my face, and I'm leading 5 people that are my friends and my colleagues into the fire. It's like, talk about how you manage risk.
Yeah. So that moment where that you speak of came when I didn't mention this, but the idea itself stemmed from I was on the phone with an agent or somebody, and one of my agents was actually in the room. She was on the computer working. Somebody asked me, they was like, why don't you open your own brokerage? And I was like, well, it costs a lot of money. It does this, that, and the third. It's not, I don't know if you want to do that. And I hung up the phone, and she never turned around. She was at the computer. She never turned around. And I had hung up. She heard me hang up, and it got quiet. And she said, sound like you're making a bunch of excuses.
There you go.
Like, you work for me and you telling me I'm making excuses. So that night I went home and was just kind of thinking about it. Like, well, maybe am I making excuses? I was like, there's nothing stopping me. I got the money to put up. I got the trainings. I got the credibility. Why not? So yeah, I mean, that moment came before I actually made the decision, but that's what led to the decision. And I felt so much comfort in doing that when I know that the people that work for me, I'm not surrounded by yes people. I call them my no people. You know what I mean? Like
they're going to challenge
surround yourself. Yeah. Surround yourself with some people that's going to say no. And they understand like, nah, bro, you making excuses. I think that was really the moment when I was like, all right, if I'm doing this out loud, I don't want people that look up to me to see this and be like, yeah, he falling off. No, I'm not falling off. So that was the moment. But I would say the hardest part about doing it, man, was I'll tell it to you like this. I put up $100,000 of my own money. $100,000 of my own money. One, I never thought I'd be able to say I had $100,000. But two, to be able to put up that much money, and you don't do it easily. You know what I mean? Like the moment I spent it, I was like, oh, it's gone. It's gone. Yeah. You got to get it back. Yeah. And that's, one thing about me, man, I'm a hustler. I'm going to find a way to make some money.
What was the first thing that you did? Like that was startup for like,
I made so
buying some office
mistakes.
Space and doing all this other stuff. It's like, yeah, what were the things that you did first? And then what were the things you look back and go, I wish I wouldn't have done it?
Oh man, the first thing I wish I wouldn't have done was bought an office space.
Okay.
That was the first thing, right? I got 5 agents and 4 of them live in 4 different directions.
Just work remotely.
Just work remotely. Yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And not only that, I bought expensive workplace.
Just to have a big logo on your front,
Man, that was the dumbest thing I could have ever done. But I mean, I had the money for it. It was just dumb. It was a waste of money. I also, started paying for resources that we didn't necessarily need just yet. A CRM would have been fine. We could have got a nice little CRM, but instead I went and bought this package deal of a CRM, a website, and this, I did all these things early on that I thought we needed, and we didn't. We really didn't. We had everything lined up for us. All we had to do was just conduct business. But again, like I said, once it was gone, it forced me early on to learn how to hustle hard early, because I never had to do that. I always enjoyed working, but I never had to hit the ground and go get it.
So what were your first steps? Like what was the first piece of, you have your first meeting with your team. You're like, okay, this is the plan. What did that look like?
We sat around, and it's funny because I still had it's so crazy that you just asked that question. So I still had the key to the old office. So we had already left. I still had the key, the fob and everything to the old firm that we just left. We met there at like 9:00 at night in their conference room. planning everything out, bro. I'm using their dry erase board. I'm using the TV. Like, we had already left, and I still had the key. So it was really just if I can go back to that day, I think it was just the amount of the ideas that were going around. It was, man, we can do our own marketing. Let's start shaping our marketing towards this. I'm tired of doing our social media page like this. Let's focus on the clients. Let's not focus on us. Everybody was taking these pictures with, we had the suit. So I had my suit on, and, the ladies had their hair done. It was like, why are we saying under contract and showing pictures of us? Let's show pictures of the people that's under contract. Let's really gear this towards something that's different. And that's how we came up with our motto. Our motto is find out why we're different. So while we were in that room, one of the questions I asked is, how are we going to stand out? And I was like, why are we different? And we started saying stuff like, Black business has a bad name, has a bad rap. Some people even Black people don't want to use Black business because somebody always late, somebody doing this. So we were having those conversations, and one of the girls was like, that's why we're different, because we care about the consumer. We care about making this experience memorable. Another thing I learned from Colleen, one of the things you told me, or you asked me, you said, what's one of the things she taught me? Never call a client a past client and treat them that way. If you treat them like a client, you'll never forget them. You'll never not follow up. Treat every client like a client forever, and you'll be fine. Those are some of the things we did, man. So that was probably one of the most motivational kind of meetings that we had. We took our shoes off. We were just in our space, man. And it was so comforting to know that everybody was down for this ride. Hey guys, I put up this money, but I put up this money for us. Let's go get some more. Let's get us out of the red. Let's go sell some houses. We know how to do the job. Now we have this engine to where we can kind of rebrand and force it down people's throat to show them that we're here. We know what we're doing, and y'all just got to take it. And that's literally what happened, man. Hitting the ground running. Changed our logo. We made the logo. We changed all of our branding to look the same as far as on the social media. And it was up from there, man. So good. Yeah. Got some questions about training and how you train your agents. Cause again, this is all applicable to what I do. Like if I have a staff and used to have a staff before I went to Colleton, it's the same stuff, right? It's like being on the same page, having the same story. Mm-hmm. Like you said, I've heard you talk about in interviews, you want them to be an extension of you, right? You want them to possess the same values and integrity that you have done your entire career. Yeah. But the first thing is you're talking about marketing, right? So I've heard you talk about, the difference between marketing versus systems, right? So, and your Instagram is so ridiculous. From a standpoint, as I'm a movie guy, right? So I'm looking at your Instagram, that's pretty cool. Who's filming this? Mm-hmm. You got a camera on you all the time. You're walking out your front door with your Eagles shirt on. By the way, congratulations to your Eagles making the Super Bowl. Yeah. But I'm just tell me about do you have a company that does that for you? Or do you have your kids doing it? What? Dude, you've got a camera on you all the time. Both. Talk me through that. Man, so I went to college. I went to college for studio production. That was my major. And when it's funny. So you're doing your editing, or are you paying somebody else to do it? Certain videos, I have somebody doing my editing and shooting. Some of the stuff I shoot and edit myself because I know how to do it. But it's crazy because everybody goes, "Oh, you're not even you went to college for what? And you're not even using your degree." Sure, you're using it big time now. I can tell you that. Man, I'm telling you. Yeah, I agree. 2016 or 2015, when Instagram became like you could do videos and stuff like that, I was like, oh, this is right up my alley.
Yeah.
I could do a 15-second video. Oh man, that's perfect. I'm honestly shocked that I don't have hundreds of thousands of followers because I was doing the videos and stuff so early.
Dude, you got 5,000, 6,000 followers, and like, what's going on? Like, we're both at the same, and I'm like, I'm just shooting videos of my students. Yeah. But it kind of reminds me before you get going there, it's like, it reminds me 2009, 2010, when like YouTube started, Twitter started, you know, and this was probably, maybe before we met, but you know, we had sort of the downturn in the economy, and you know, golf schools weren't filling up, and I'm like, how am I going to reach customers, right? It's no different than real estate. So I started my first YouTube channel, started a blog, started writing, started, you know, posting stuff on X, you know, Instagram, you know, whatever, Twitter and Facebook. And Dana didn't understand it. Like, you know, it's like, she's like, what are you doing? Like, you're being right. It's like, you're being, you know, like you're not a part of the group. You know, I don't understand why you're doing all this stuff. And like, it's bringing in business. It's making you money. Like, she didn't get it until later on in the deal. And she's like, okay, now I understand what you were doing. It's very similar to what you're going through. And what I've heard you talk about in other interviews, it's like, you know, they didn't understand why you're like trying to post stuff on Instagram to like generate business. I mean, and you're so brilliant at it. So talk to me about that process.
I remember my previous broker in charge, the one I told you I left. Yeah. I remember telling her I wanted to create an Instagram page for my business. And I was going to change my name to Sold by Rel. And she was like, who's Rel? I was like, that's me. I was like, my family calls me Rel. And she was like, well, what is that going to do? I was like, well, that's how, you know, people my age, they're going to connect with me because I'm Sold by Rel. They're going to know that I sold something or I can sell something, you know? And I was like, yeah, I told her, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do a photo shoot. She was like, why? You got to remember, man, this is still a standing joke that older agents still have the same headshot from when they first got in the business.
Unbelievable.
So you got me telling her I'm about to do a photo shoot. And she's like, why? I was like, because like I get a chance to market, but people just didn't understand that. But yeah, so that's what I mean. So I went to school for studio production. So this stuff and editing and stuff like that, that's right up my alley. So I've always had the creative mind to go, I want to shoot this because I wanted to be a producer. So I was always thinking of ideas. I still got ideas in this head. So I got all the ideas in the world, but I could never find somebody who could shoot everything. Till one day, this guy messaged me on Instagram. And he said, hey, my name is Jamal. I'm looking to get into shoot real estate content for real estate agents. And I see your page and I like, you know, what you do, but I'd love to meet. And I replied back to him. I said, hey, Jamal, this is a God wink. This is my message. I can still scroll to that message to this day.
There it is.
This is the God wink. I said, you don't understand. I've been sitting around waiting and looking to see if I can find a videographer that can match the creativity in my mind. If that's you, then we are going to have a long relationship. He was like, that's me. We met the next day at the outlets, Charlotte Premium Outlets. Mm-hmm. And we sat down, we talked. I told him all the ideas in my head. I said, look, bro, if you can make any of these ideas come to life, I promise you, I'm going to change your life because people trust what I'm doing and they respect it and they going to want to do it too. I'm going to change your life and you're going to help change mine. And he was like, well, let's do it. And from that day, we've been, side by side. He does majority of my videos. So everything you see where it's like my sit down interviews. Yeah. My sit down interviews, I got a videographer for that. The ones where I was walking outside with the Eagles gear, that was my daughter. She recorded
I figured that was kind of, but I love the day. It's like when you do like the day in the life, like you're sitting there doing a Zoom call or whatever, and your daughter comes up and you hug her or whatever. Is that just you? Is that?
Man, that's me.
Just so setting the phone up and just doing it. Yeah.
But that wasn't planned. That's one of those things where like, I just keep the camera running.
Yeah, just in case you catch some cool content and you just make it into a video. God, that's just so good. I got to do more of that, dude. I mean, I've always felt like I was ahead of the curve, you know, staying kind of ahead, even though I'm a lot older than you. But yeah, I got to do a better job of like getting myself in there. You know, I mean, I basically put all my students and
Jay, you have no idea, man. You have an opportunity. Social media is free. Yeah. Right. It's free for you. Yeah. So you have the opportunity to build what you want people to believe you are. Yeah. And that is the best advantage you can have as somebody who owns your own business.
Right.
How do you want people to perceive you? Make it.
Yeah.
Make it that way.
Yeah.
Right. You want people, you the golf guru? All right. Well, show me why you the golf guru.
Yeah.
Right. So I think
I've done a pretty good job with that, but it's just like I've got to do better. Like myself, me actually getting back in the old, when I had my YouTube channel, obviously I did a lot of tips and whatever, and I don't want to do that, but I need to probably do more of the real life stuff. So I need to get your guy to come down to Colleton and start filming some shit.
I'm coming with him. I'm coming with him.
Dude, I'm telling you, we need to collaborate. That's the next thing. Like, that would be sick if we could do some stuff together.
I'll mix golf and real estate anytime.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely.
I will come.
So
I'll bring him with me.
All right. Well, let's transition into golf because you're still a great player. I follow you're still playing in a lot of mid-am and like amateur stuff. And one of the notes that you sent me was like how you built a $1 million business and still actually got better at golf.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Talk about your relationship with golf right now.
Yeah, so I give golf so much credit for my personality, just everything. I've learned I don't argue, because golf. It's like you have a bad hole, you got to get over it real quick. So I've learned so much through golf that has helped me be who I am. I have a bad deal or somebody gives me a bad inspection on one of the houses. I can't be upset at it for too long because now I got to play therapist to my client and figure out an answer, figure out how to make this work. Hit it in trees. You got to figure out, get it back in play and make it work. So for me, I've never lost my competitive edge. So getting into real estate, I was like, I'm going to have a bunch of free time to play golf. And of course I didn't. Because the busier
if
you
you're
become,
successful, right? Yeah, like the ones that aren't selling many houses probably have all kinds of time. But it's cool that you're so busy, like you've got to still manage and try to find some balance.
Yeah, and so I do the range. I go to the range all the time. Well, at least during the warm months.
Where are you playing nowadays?
So I joined Raintree.
Oh yeah, that's right. I knew you were Raintree
back in 2020.
Yeah, it's a nice little club. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. So it's fun, man. It's a good atmosphere. A lot of competition out there, but that's really where I get, I keep my edge. I go to the range all the time. I'll go to the gym in the morning sometimes. And then after the gym, I'll hit balls. That just keeps my game sharp. And what I realized about 3 years ago, Jay, is that my network in golf is going to keep me in real estate forever because these people are, let's be honest. I'm the show pony. They go, man, I got this boy Jarrell, man. He can play.
Yeah.
Why are they having me up? Because I'm the unicorn. I'm the black kid that can play golf. So they just want to be associated with me.
Yeah.
So not only am I good at golf, I can hold a conversation, and I own a business. So now they're like, oh yeah, Jarrell's a good dude. Man, they send me so much business. They're friends. I sell houses. I've never met these people, but they're like, oh, we got to play golf. I'm like, we got to play golf. How you know I play golf? Oh, yeah, so-and-so said. Like, bro, thank you. A couple years ago, I realized that. And I said, I have to just stay sharp because I can't lose that part of my business. I have to keep the golf game nice. And in the midst of doing that, I was like, let me start playing some tournaments again and see where I stand. And then the more tournaments I played in, the better I got. I got around some people that just, some more competitive people. And those people helped me grow my business because they told somebody else, or I ended up selling them a house. So now I just can't quit golf.
No,
I couldn't quit if I tried.
That's in your blood. Yeah. Where are you at now? Like, were you at +2, +3?
So my handicap fluctuates every winter. I always go into the winter plus something and then come out and start the year and my handicap drops.
Like a
so my goal is if I can stay between a +1 and a +3 throughout the year, that's where I try to stay.
You can play. Like, you're being very humble. I know your game.
I try, bro.
Yeah.
I've gotten better, bro. I've gotten better.
I know you have. I'm watching your swing on Instagram. I'm like, that's sick right there.
Jay, I've gotten better, man. I've gotten more stable. Yeah. I know where my positions are. It's repeatable. I played Sedgefield the week before the tournament with a member out there, and I shot 68 with a bogey on 14.
Oh, one God. Bogey. Easy par 5?
No, 14.
No, okay.
Before that,
par 4. Gotcha. Yeah. So that's a good hole.
Yeah, so I had a bogey on that hole, but I shot 68. One of the guys I played with, we were on 10 coming up the hill, and I hit I had a 120-yard wedge, And I just stepped up to it, hit it. And he said, man, golf looks easy to you. It is.
When you're playing well, you can say that.
It is.
But then the next day it can feel really, really difficult.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But the comfort I have on the golf course now is ridiculous compared to what it used to be.
And you've matured, right? Like, it sounds like it's a lot more of a mindset, and things have changed mentally.
Yeah, and the pressure's off.
Right. Exactly. Like you're obviously being successful. So I want to get into some like personal growth stuff.
Okay.
If you don't mind, if you have time.
Yeah.
But before that, it's like, I wanted to ask you, like, what do you do now for like continuous growth and continuous learning? What are your tools?
I'm constantly, YouTube is I'm an audio book person or an audio person. So there's people I still follow. I mean, Ryan Serhant is one I can reach out to, text him all the time. The owner of the company that I used to work for, I use him as a resource. So I have my mentors and people that I can speak to and kind of get guidance from. And they help me as good as they can. I do a lot of like real estate help stuff, how to run your business. There's a book I'm reading right now. It's called I gotta remember the name of it because I just started it. I'm doing the 75 hard and I'm trying to get right, but it's like 7 things. It's basically like things that successful people do.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I got to get the title for you. But
yeah,
I mean, I'm just trying to, I downloaded the audiobook. I bought the regular book and downloaded the audio.
It's all audio now. Yeah. I've probably read 30 audiobooks in the last 2 years. Man. It's like, now it's podcasts and audiobooks when we used to actually read.
Yeah, man. Podcasts.
What are some of your favorite podcasts or anything other than the real estate world or like personal development that you listen to?
Yeah. So I listen to, it's a podcast called Earn Your Leisure.
Okay.
2 guys basically talking about financial things to help you grow in the business. So they interview other people that's wealth building. Mel Robbins has one that I listen to. I don't know if it's her podcast or if I just go to her YouTube page and just listen to her speak. So she talks about like the 5-second rule. She talks about let them, basically letting people be who they are. Don't try to change anybody. Don't, you may operate one way, but don't, try to force people to do things that they're doing or that they want to do. Let them live their life. It's all about letting them. So it's a lot of different things that I kind of just listen to all the time to try to pull from.
Yeah.
But my ideas, man, in my head, I talk to my dad, like my dad is literally.
What did your dad do for a living when he was working?
When he was working, he was with the Postal Service. So he was a postmaster of the United States Postal Service. That's what brought us down here. And then he retired from the Postal Service about 10, 12 years ago. But in the midst of him retiring from the Postal Service, he started doing safe retirement planning. So he's been doing that for the last 10, 12 years. But my dad has always had a job. He was doing people's taxes when I was little. Everything. He's taken part in every pyramid scheme you could think of. Like it was always something.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out ways to sell crock pots.
Hustling.
I'm like, Robs, what are we doing?
Oh, yeah.
So, when you got those kind of people around you that you can reach out to, it's kind of easy to just not go through trial and error,
That's cool. So let's dig into some fun questions here. So we've already talked about books.
Yep.
Are there any like books that you have, let's say, what book have you recommended the most to other people or gifted the most to other people? It doesn't have to be golf, whatever. It can be life, which I'd prefer.
I wasn't a book reader before I got in real estate. So majority of my books that I've read are real estate related.
Gotcha.
One of the ones I really like is How to Sell Anything. It's from the other guy that was on $1 Million List in New York, Frederick. Forget his last name.
Yeah. I know that guy. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
So he wrote a book called How to Sell Anything and then Sell It Like Serhant, which was Ryan Serhant's book, Big Money Energy. And then, Donald Trump wrote a book that I think is probably one of the better books is The Art of the Deal. Like it's just understanding how people think and just how to honestly manipulate people into agreeing with you. And who's going to win the deal is the person who doesn't make the offer first. If you offer first, you lose. Things like that. Those are really the books that I've come across. The Millionaires, Real Estate book, something like that.
Yeah.
Like all of these books that you come across and you just read them. But I was never a reader until I got into real estate.
Gotcha. All right. What purchase of $150 or less has most positively impacted your life in the last year?
$150 or less has most impacted.
And you can make it more than that, but just like any item or anything that's like impacted your life.
You know what? I'll tell you. Marriage counseling.
Okay.
Marriage counseling. It might not have been $150, but it's probably the best purchase I've made in the last few years. Me and my wife will be celebrating 12 years this May. And
that's awesome.
By year 8, we was ready to kill each other.
Yeah, it's okay. We all go through it, dude. I'm at 29 and like, you know, we've had plenty of those times. So don't feel bad about that. But the fact that you're taking a proactive approach is that's being a man right there for sure.
Yeah, man. I mean, we were probably on the verge of like figuring out who gonna get what, you know?
I know what you mean.
Yeah. She was doing counseling for herself. In the midst of her doing counseling for herself, the idea of marriage counseling came up and we did it. I could say it saved our marriage. It allowed me to think differently when I'm talking to people, to women, to my wife. I mean, I work in the office. 88% of the agents that work with me are female. So even just understanding my wife's way of thinking allowed me to be open enough to understand those ladies that I work with, their way of thinking. So I would probably say marriage counseling was the best purchase I've made in the last few years.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Because if I didn't, I'd be down at Carlton River playing some golf every day.
Divorced.
Divorced and golfing.
Exactly. What are some bad recommendations you hear in your profession or area of expertise? We'll talk real estate, but like what are some? It's like bad golf lessons. You know, it's like what are some of the things that? What are some of the roadblocks?
Like keep your head down. Keep your head down.
Yeah, left arm straight. Keep your head down. Don't move your head. And
yeah, that's my favorite bad golf.
Exactly. So
let me see. Bad real estate tips,
or even like business tips, right? Just think of it more in like an entrepreneurship situation.
I don't know if it's a tip or just a bad thought. You can't do anything alone. You really can't. Whether you find a mentor, whether you connect with somebody else, growth doesn't happen alone. And I think a lot of people think that they can. So they do things because they see other people doing it. And once you get in that habit, I think it's hard to break. And I think that's hard for entrepreneurs, hard for any business owner, because you're going to always see somebody, especially in real estate, you're going to always see somebody selling a bigger house. So to think you can do it alone without having somebody give you some guidance, give you some assistance, I think that's a crazy thought. But I can't really think of a bad tip. Okay. I don't think people...
It's probably not a great question for your profession, maybe.
Yeah, but I think real estate is such a dog eat dog kind of business. Ain't too many tips being thrown around.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, you're kind of probably a little cutthroat as far as like don't want to share.
Yeah, not too many people want to share.
I understand that. All right, so we've talked about failures, but one of my favorite questions is like, how has a failure or roadblock in your life set you up for later success? And like, do you have a favorite failure? Do you have any other stories aside from the Burger King question, or maybe like in a business sense of like something that you failed at, but like learned something that really helped you out in the future? I think it's a better way to describe it.
When I first launched the team in 2019, there were 4 other agents with me. And in less than 90 days, another agent or one of the agents left. That agent left and didn't give me a reason, didn't tell me, what happened. I didn't know if it was something I did. But I took that hard because I was like, I thought we were more than just business people. I thought we were almost a family. I went to your daughter's recital. I went to her play. Like, I brought my wife and kids to the play. We watched her be in the Lion King. Like, I ain't want to sit here for this, but I did it to support. And I took that hard. And my wife was like, you can't make people do what you want them to do. And you gotta get over that. And I was like, okay. And I said I got over it, but I didn't. And then a couple years later, when I started the brokerage, we launched and I had 7 people with me. And by September of that same year, I had 7 people with me, but 3 of which had left and I had added 3 more. So I was in that same pit of God, why do these people not like me? What am I doing? And what I realized is not everybody is meant to come along this journey. The ideas I had, the growth pattern we were on, not everybody wants that. And I have to be okay with letting people go. So I think when you talk about failure, I think I felt like I failed the agents. But what I learned from that and the success I got from that was, it's not that I'm not going to please everybody. I only want people here that agree with the mission and the growth that we are creating. So if you're not here for that, then you can excuse yourself. And if I find out that you don't agree with this, then I'm going to excuse you. But both of those situations where people left, I just felt like I felt such a, oh my gosh, what am I doing wrong? Is everybody about to leave me? It taught me so much, man. We got 21 agents now. So
wow, that's big. Yeah, you're describing, the qualities of a good leader, and you're describing, the qualities of a good mentor. It's hard to hire, man. It's like, it all sounds great in an interview. Like, we're taking a chance. I made a lot of mistakes, coming up, when I was a head professional, made a ton of mistakes, but started to get better as I started hiring teachers, because you want to have young people that are going to come alongside you and like want it as much as you, and nobody's going to want it as much as you. You got to figure that out real quick. But if they can get close, then you got somebody you can work with, right? Yeah. Because we're always like, yeah, this is what I did, and this is how we're going to do it. It's like, you can't want it for them. That's really cool. That's very well described.
Yeah, and that goes back to I can't do it alone. Right?
Absolutely, you got to have a team. You got to You're going to grow more with, like I said, mentorship's a two-way street, right? Yeah. Leadership's a two-way street. It's not you telling them what to do and how you did it. It's like, you're going to learn so much more from the people you work for, or that work for you, than than you feeling like you're just like, it's not a dictatorship. That I learned that very early on as well. Yeah. I just won Golf Professional of the Year, and which is crazy. Yeah, it's crazy, right? It's like the teaching professionals never won it. And I'm not saying that to blow my own horn, but it just made me reflect on, all the people that work for me and how much I grew because of them, not because of what I was imparting in them. It was kind of a team effort. So that's really, really cool.
Bro. I did see you post that.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Appreciate that.
I didn't know that you were the first teaching professional to win it. Yeah,
because it's, typically, a golf or a head professional or a director of golf is usually awarded that particular award. So I'm kind of breaking the glass ceiling a little bit.
How did you get it? I mean,
it's the same process. You just get nominated, but a lot of times you get blocked, in the process of like, he's just a teaching pro, can't win it. But like, let's look at his body of work. And, and I had enough friends to sort of, plead my case the last few years to like say, hey, this, what he's done for the section, what he's done for the game and for other people. Yep. That's what I'm most proud of, is what I've given back to others, which is what you're going through right now, man. It's like so cool. Yeah.
That's so crazy. I would have thought you won that thing 5 times.
No, it's not. I mean, teacher of the year, maybe, but that's like, I've won pretty much every other award in that section. So I think I'm pretty much, awesome. I'm done. So
you the GOAT now.
No, not hardly. Just getting old. All right. So a couple more quick hitters here. So when you feel overwhelmed or unfocused, or have lost your focus temporarily, what do you do? And what questions do you ask yourself?
I get so much clarity on the golf course and the driving range. I can say that in this business, or I guess as an entrepreneur, the hardest part is staying innovative. There's nothing new under the sun. So when you come up with an idea and you see somebody else do it, or you come up with an idea and it worked, but now what's next? You're constantly trying to figure out what's next. I closed the deal. Now I got to go get another one. Yeah. Right. I can't eat off of that. So I think, I have those all the time. I'm not a big communicator. My wife tells me that all the time, which is one of the reasons we went to marriage therapy, marriage counseling. But I'm not a big communicator. I let stuff sit in my head and I just slowly process it out.
We're very similar in that way.
Yeah, I don't dwell on much. I'm always looking for a solution, Jay. And I think I don't know if that's a good thing, to be honest with you.
It is, but sometimes you have to have an outlet.
Yeah.
Right. You have to get it out, and that's probably where, dude, we're so similar in that way. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't voice a lot of my frustrations. So I deal with a lot of stuff in private.
Yeah.
But not intentionally. I just don't know how to.
Hey, it's the way you're wired, man. Put
it on somebody else.
Yeah.
I try to get away. I really do. I try to get away. I try to reset. I use golf as that vessel to just do that. 4 hours on the golf course. It gives me time to think. I talk to my agents. I reach out to one of my top agents and I'll go, hey, what's happening right now that I'm missing out on? What do I need to do to help you? Because if y'all fail, I fail. How can I bridge this gap? She'll give me some ideas. And like I said, it keeps me wanting to learn more. And I thrive off of that. So I don't know if I could necessarily say, I've been in a situation where I go dark and I don't know how to get out of these situations. I thrive off of having to think of something new. The worst thing you could tell me, Jay, is you've seen that before. That's the worst thing you can tell me. Because if I think of an idea and you be like, oh yeah, I seen that. I'm like, all right, scrap that idea.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So I don't think I don't know if I do, it goes in and goes out. And I think that's a good thing, but I also think it's a bad thing because I think I need to learn how to properly process things to get them out rather than hold on to them until they go away.
Yeah. So what other outlets? I know you put a gym in your house, like you're in good shape. Like how important is like physical health for, like we've mentioned, mental health, right? You go through those dark places. I've dealt with anxiety in my life, and running was always like my big outlet that people didn't understand. It's like, why the hell are you running 26 miles? I'm like, you don't understand like what it does to your brain and to how you feel about yourself. Do you practice any other like meditation, or is there anything that you deal with the stress?
Not as much as I need to. Me and my wife have finally found a church that we enjoy.
There you go.
I can't let God think I forgot about him, right?
That's right.
So he knows. I talk to him all the time.
There you go.
He knows what's in my head.
That's a form of meditation, the best form of meditation. Yeah, honestly.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily set it. And again, a lot of this is because I'm super busy, and I try to devote time to different things. But I do want to start getting to a point where I make time to just do nothing, be free, do nothing, and clear my mind and things like that. But I don't, and maybe I need to start waking up a little bit early. But the gym has been a very big help. And my son, he's
so cool. Your kids,
he's 13 now. He's starting to care a little bit about perception. I remember he told me, he's like, I'm going to middle school. I want to get stronger. So now he's in middle school and he ain't strong yet. So, now we in the gym.
That's great.
We go there,
yeah. See you guys working out together. It's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So right now, while he's in school, we try to just do it every Saturday. Yeah. Every Saturday morning, get up. We're going to do 45 minutes in the gym. But just the other day, he told me to, bring some weights upstairs. So now he got some weights in this room. So I'm, if he wants to lift on his own time, I remember I still got a picture of me when I was, doing push-ups in my room and lifting the rubber, the dumbbells and barbells. So, it's cool to see. But my kids and my wife, they do a really good job of letting me breathe when I get home, stuff like that. I'm gone most of the day. So they do a really good job of letting me breathe when I get to the house.
So good, man. Mm-hmm. All right. One last question and we'll wrap up. Appreciate your time.
Yeah.
If you could have a gigantic billboard and get a message to the world, billions of people, and put it on your billboard, what would your message be and why?
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't want to say anything cliche. I want to say something that I would say something along the lines of, don't judge a book by its cover, but I want to say it a little bit better. Here you go. I want the world to really care for one another. Every Christmas, my dad would always, I'd be like, Dad, what you want for Christmas? And he would say world peace. And he would say that every year. And we'd be like, Dad, I know you want world peace, but what else do you want? Like, I got to go buy you something. I can't buy you world peace. But when you get to like an age and in a time like right now where everything's so divisive, and I just want people to really listen to one another. Stop listening to respond and listen for the purpose of listening and understanding, because not everybody is going through the same thing. My struggles are not Jason's struggles. Your struggles are not my struggles, but I can't diminish them because I don't deal with them. You know, it's not fair. But that's really what I think. I deal so much with people who don't want to, even now with my credibility and me, I got the best resume that I could put together. There's still people who choose to not give me the time of day or choose to not listen to what I'm saying, all because they have a preconceived notion of what I should be saying. Yeah. And it's like, no, that's not it. Just listen. Yeah. Just listen. And I'm going to do the same to you. If you listen to me, I'm going to listen to you. I promise.
That's right.
But I think if we all listen to each other and just essentially just, had a little bit of empathy, sympathy, all of that. If you just cared a little bit about what the other person was going through and not necessarily saying, get over it or you'll be all right. Let's take time to listen to each other. It'll help.
I love it. Mm-hmm. Well, all I can say is when I first met you, and I'm a pretty good judge of a person, right? In the first meeting and the first time. And I saw something special in you back in those days. Yeah. And that's why I took the time to try to help you. And I'm sorry that we kind of lost, the connection over the years, but I'm so grateful that we could reconnect now. And I'm so proud of the man you've become and your success. So, I really appreciate you taking the time, and I think this is going to hopefully grow our relationship even more.
Yeah. No, Jay, I appreciate you, man. Like I said, you have no idea of the impact you made on just me caring about golf. When I worked at Dana Rader, I didn't care about golf. It was just something to do. But listen, like I said, walking past, listening to you give lessons, kind of ignited something in me and just going, well, maybe it's my golf swing. That's why I hate golf. Maybe I don't like my golf swing. Maybe if I talk to Jason, I'll enjoy my golf swing. And even when I got the job at Piper, you were so open to just be like, hey man, if you need anything, let me know. If you need help with something, let me know. I've been there before. I've done that. I've never, even as a teenager or as an adult prior to you, I never had a white counterpart invest.
Did you realize I was white?
Yeah, I learned that.
Even though I do like hip hop a lot.
Yeah, man. Yeah. and I remember Nick was an Eagles fan. Like
that's right, back in the day.
But it's just like stuff like that didn't happen to me.
Yeah.
None of that stuff happened to me.
Yeah.
And it's because of golf that I get introduced to certain people. And for you, I've always liked seeing your stuff, your growth, and whatever you're doing. Every time you change the facility, I was like, oh dang, Jason not here no more. y'all gonna suck. It's not gonna be the same. But it's just like, I've always tracked what you've done. And I think if you make an impact on the people around you the way you impacted me coming up, and just being able to care enough to have a few conversations with me and even just act interested, even if you weren't, you acted interested. I think that was
it was for sure.
But that's what I'm saying. I think if you are still the same person, which I believe you are, I'm sure you're impacting so many different people in many different ways. Because again, not too many people looked at me and said, I'm going to invest time in this guy, So it's always been cool to be able to shoot a message to you every once in a while and say, oh man, Jay, that's cool. You teaching Will McGirt. Like, that stuff's cool.
Absolutely.
Social media makes it fun to keep up.
I appreciate that so much. So tell the listeners how they can follow you. You're like unbelievable follower or a follow on social and come buy a house from you.
Yeah,
if
man.
you're in the area, this is good. This is a good plug. Let's go,
man. So it's I'm at Soul by Rel on every platform: TikTok, Twitter, or X, Instagram. You can find me everywhere at Soul by Rel. I have a podcast that I'm actually relaunching, Jason.
Okay, I know that. I stopped it for a little while. Kind of fell out of love with it, but
reignited something a couple months ago, but it's called the Keeping It Real Estate Podcast. You can find that on Apple and Spotify.
Nice.
Jay, I know you said you couldn't find it, but it's there. It's KEEPIN apostrophe it real estate. But you can find that on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And I own Noir Group, which is a real estate brokerage here in Charlotte, North Carolina. We cover everywhere up to the Triad, which is Greensboro, Winston-Salem, and High Point, all the way down to Atlanta, Georgia. I've got 21 agents, 88% female. I mean, we're killing it. We will make the experience of buying a house. It's just something that people remember. We do a client appreciation event at the end of every year, casino night style. Clients dress up right before Christmas. They have a good time. We give back to the community. We're involved in the community. Everything you think about real estate, we do more. So if you're tired of your normal real estate agent coming to put a sign in your yard and try to sell your house on the MLS, please experience what we offer and find out why we're different.
Awesome, man. You're the best, buddy. Keep up the great work.
Jay. Thank you, bro.
You got it.
I appreciate you so much.
What's up, everyone? Guru back here again with a couple of things before you jump off. First, big thank you to Jarrell for coming on the show. It was so great to catch up with him. There were so many learning moments in this conversation that I think we can all apply to our businesses and our life. So I appreciate his time. Make sure you give him a follow at Sold by Rel on Instagram and TikTok, and Charlit Golfer, that's CHARLIT Golfer on Instagram, and check out his still really, really good golf swing and his chasing some of the amateur tournaments out there and still staying competitive, which is pretty cool. Also, check out the website for his company, wearenoir.com. And thanks again to our sponsor, Estruzi. Go to the Estruzi app and check it out. Make sure that you add the asterisk after your name so they know that you got it from the Guru and the show. Also, give me a follow on X or Instagram at Golf Guru TV and on TikTok at Golf Guru. If you have any questions or comments, you can email the show at golfgurushow@gmail.com or just hit me up on a DM. This episode is produced by my guy, Joel North. Thank you, Joel, for your continued excellent work. And music was by Kevin MacLeod and Zach Mullet, aka Cutta Beats. And leave me an iTunes review. That would be awesome. 5-star rating would help us a ton. And keep passing on the show. Like, we need more downloads. Let's keep it going. So as I always leave you with, study, practice, teach, and then make sure you pass it on. Thanks so much for listening. I'll talk to you next time.